Welcome back to Law and Crime. I'm Carissa Kranz. We are going to switch gears here for a second on the network. If you've been staying with us on the network, last week we were covering a trial out of Florida. It was the Demetrius Elder case where the defendant was standing trial. He was a co-defendant for killing the victim after a party. This is a case out of Florida. It was a manslaughter charge where he was facing up to 30 years. And what happened was either road rage or they were settling a dispute after a party. The defense brought a motion saying stand your ground in Florida, which means self-defense, to try to get the entire case thrown out. The judge said, nope, this is a case for the jury to decide, but that they can bring up self-defense during the trial. We here on the network covered this trial closely for about a week, and that self-defense argument was made, and now we have a verdict. And that verdict was not manslaughter, but culpable negligence, which is punishable up to 1 year in prison and is a misdemeanor. Let's take a look at that verdict.
Publish the verdict, please.
In the Circuit Court of the 17th Judicial Circuit in Fort Broward County, Florida, State of Florida, State of Florida versus Demetrius Elder, case number 14-10348, Judge Ernest Cora. We, the jury, find as follows to the defendant, Demetrius Omega Elder. In this case, defendant is guilty of the lesser included crime of couples negligence. So say we all, it's 27th day of AD 2018 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Broward County. Four-person Jared Biggs.
There you heard it. He's guilty of culpable negligence. And with me, we have a very special guest, Tahira Knight. This is the victim's sister. Tahira, first of all, I want to thank you for joining us and say we're, so sorry for the loss of your brother. I'm sure that this is really hard on your family. And I'm sure you have some comments about this verdict, seeing that the defendant is basically walking away as a time-served plea or a time-served sentence because he already faced. I know, I see you're crying. I'm so sorry. He already was in behind bars for 4 years, and culpable negligence is 1 year, so they're giving him credit, and he gets to walk. So sorry, but this is your opportunity to talk to us and to tell the viewers how you feel about all of this.
Yes, I want to just start off by saying I appreciate you guys for having me on here, because the one thing I do want to do is, basically tell the story of my brother since he's not here to do so. The verdict absolutely took us by surprise. It was very shocking. I don't even think that should have been an option, culpable negligence, when he directly stood there and admitted to stabbing my brother in the back. That's not negligence, that's murder. And the only reason he has been sitting in jail for 4.5 years is because of a violation of probation, of stolen cars. So at this point, he is facing more time for stolen cars than he is for stealing a life. And that is absolutely ridiculous.
I'm sure it's heartbreaking for you and your family. Absolutely. I know we were going to have another guest with you Skype in, Erica, and she couldn't join us. Do you know what she would have liked to have added to your thoughts or what you're saying?
Basically the same thing. The faith in the justice system, basically there is none at this point. We dealt with this for 4.5 years. And during this time, we thought we was going to get some type of closure. It's never going to bring them back. It's never going to mend our hearts. Our family goes through this every single day. He has children that I have to see and explain things to, and they were smaller, younger at the time. So they don't, quite understand why this person took their father. There was one child that wasn't even born at the time. She was, the mother was pregnant with the child. So he has not even met his father. So that, these things we deal with every day.
Were you close with your brother?
Oh, that was my best friend. That was my best friend. We raised our children together. We lived together at the time. We were very, very, very close. We were only a year and maybe 3 months apart. So we were very close, very close.
And let me ask you, because, you know, the narrative in this trial, we hear, you know, on one hand it was road rage, and then you hear another story of there was some dispute that needed to be settled that didn't get settled at the party. Do you have any insight into that and what really happened?
I don't have any insight because I wasn't there, but what I can say is that my brother reached his hand out to shake the gentleman's hand. And after a tussle or two, there was knives involved. My brother doesn't carry weapons. He did not have a weapon that night. When he approached Baptista, he approached him with a red cup in his hand from the party. And that cup was then found on the ground. My brother extended his hand to shake his hand, and for whatever reason, Baptista, you know, reacted with a knife and stabbing. Elder then joined in and stabbed my brother from the back. So one from the front and one from the back. And again, that's not negligence, that's murder. And I have no idea how a week of testimony, witnesses, we had evidence from A to Z, and it was plenty of evidence with their DNA, with their fingerprints, with their photos, and again, culpable negligence. That is outrageous. And we do have a sentencing for Demetrius Elder on August 30th with the same judge, which is Ernest Collier. And that judge will then sentence him in regards to his violation of probation. And they're asking for the family to be there. That's not our case.
You should be there.
Be there.
Yeah,
I definitely
it's
will
very
be
important for violation of probation hearings for them to hear from the families and the victims when the judge makes their rulings. All of that comes into their consideration. Yeah.
Correct.
So what are you expecting or hoping the judge to do for that hearing?
Oh, I'm hoping the judge gives us some type of justice. If it's up to me, he should spend the rest of his life in jail. When you take a life, you give up a life. And he clearly has taken a life. I don't think that culpable negligence was fair. The sentence that it holds is, like you said, 1 year. I read up on it, and it is a misdemeanor. He has been in jail for about 4.5 since this has happened. So that is considered time served, right, which is, again, absolutely absurd. So I hope, I will plead, I will shed tears with my family members, close friends, to, plead with the judge that we get justice for my brother's murder. And I want some type of time. I have no sympathy, I have no empathy on what he says he's going through as far as the sickness. I have no regards to that. He didn't seem to be sick or weak or out of breath during the time of my brother's murder. So therefore, I have no regards to what he says he's going through. I want the judge to throw the book at him. Yeah. I honestly would like the maximum, and the maximum is life. Like I said, the charges that he's facing for his violation of probation is worth 195 years. He has 40 counts, and it's 5 years each. And that max will be 195 years. Do I think he should get that? Yes, I honestly do. Do I think realistically the judge will give him that? No. But I do hope the judge gives him a quarter of that time.
Well, it sounds like there might still be a chance for justice in terms of time, maybe not in terms of what the jury did, but it seems like you also trust in a higher power, and you can trust that justice will be done above.
Absolutely.
Right? I can see that in your in your eyes when you talk. So justice will be done. It may not have been done in our court systems for your family, but it will be done.
And we have one more trial, and that's for
the co-defendant.
Correct.
So you never know.
Still have, we still have a little positive, vibes going as far as him receiving time, because he has been on house arrest for 4.5 years. So he's been able to enjoy his family, home cooked meals, celebrations, his children going to school, which all of that was taken away from my brother. So I hope and pray that we receive justice in that trial in the court system, and he receives the time that he deserves as well.
All right, Tahira, we do need to go to a break, but thank you so much for joining us and giving us your insight. And hopefully when you are in the violation of probation hearing trial, we'll be able to have a live feed and cover that as well here on Law and Crime, because it's really important that we do hear from the family members in these cases, because justice is so much more than what happens in the courtroom with that panel of 6 jurors. So you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, I can tell, but we have to go to a quick break. Thank you for joining us, and we will be back in a minute.